to our listeners who are saying, well, how do I pay this price? You got to be unwavering. When you're unwavering, you don't mind being uncertain. When you're unwavering, you don't mind being unrecognizable. That's because good. You're like, but being unwavering is also a price too, because it's work. It's work to get up every day even though you won't feel like laying down. It's work to keep walking even though you feel like nobody's walking with you. It's work to keep investing in something, even though you don't see the return in the time you thought you would see it. It's working. So being unwavering is a price you pay, but being unwavering is also rewarding, because what ends up happening is, like you said, what if it does happen?
Welcome to the Build My Bridge podcast. I'm your host, Harry Dent III, joined as always by the bridge builder himself, Zach Brewster. We back, Zach. What up?
Glad to be back, man. Glad to be back. It's great things are happening.
Yeah.
And you know, I really want to just express that to all our listeners, that great things are happening. Like when we say they're about to happen, we keep ourselves in the waiting mode. They are happening. As a matter of fact, the fact that we're here today and we're breathing and we're even moving, great things are happening. And so. You know, here we've been talking about Build My Bridge. We've been talking about motivations and things of that sort, hustle, grind and stack, and all of that. But I want to make sure that I give a disclaimer today. I want to talk about the price of progress. There is a price of progress, and I think what ends up happening, if I'm very honest, which is why we built the Build My Bridge masterclass like we did, is because you can listen to a motivation. Someone may be listening to this podcast right now. You can see a post on Instagram and you get excited. You know, as a pastor, I struggle with that at church. People have a very spiritual high. And then you have to walk out of that room and do something.
Wow.
And if nobody ever expresses the price to you, you're going to think progress is free.
Wow.
You're going to think destiny is free. You're going to think accomplishments are free. And so it's the price that keeps us from progress. There are very few people I've met in my life at any level of life that didn't want some sort of progress. But there are many people that don't get there because they're not willing to pay the price. So I want to talk about the price of progress today.
Man, walk us through. I'm excited. What you got?
Well, I think the first price is the most challenging price, and that's uncertainty. When you think about paying the price of progress, you have to be willing to be uncertain. And very transparently, that's been probably the biggest price in my life, because I like to be in control. I like to know what's going to happen. I like to know when it's going to happen. I like to know where it's going to happen. I like to know how it's going to happen. You know, I'm the person that calls who all over there.
Yeah.
I want to know who all over there before I go over there, because I need to get my face on for them if I'm going over there and I don't really do them like that. So I need to have an idea. And so when you get to a place in life where you know you have to progress, the biggest price is I'm uncertain as to how this is going to go. And that's why I always push people, stop posting stuff. Stop posting about what you're doing. Stop telling everybody your every move, because then you have to be uncertain in front of an audience.
Wow.
It's hard enough to be uncertain when it's just you, yourself, and the walls. But when you have to stand in front of people and they say, well, I thought you said you were fill in the blank. Now you have to be uncertain in front of that audience. So for me, I think that uncertainty is a price we don't like to pay. I have met people that are more comfortable going in and taking a part-time job from 9 to 5 or whatever, a weekend job, just because they're certain about that check, versus doing their own side hustle because they don't know when the money's going to come in. I don't know who's going to support me.
Wow.
I don't know if it's going to be real. But I'll go and I'll wait tables at a restaurant part-time. I'll drive Uber part-time. I'll do Lyft part-time, because at least then I know that somebody else is responsible for paying me, because I don't like the uncertainty.
That's good, Zach. You know, as you were talking, the thing that came to me for a tool for somebody, especially the people who post prematurely, is protect your progress. There are some people in life who need to understand that there are moments where you need to protect your progress. You don't need to tell everybody you're going back to school. Just post once the degree's in your hand. You don't need to tell everybody what you got going on and how you're trying to save more money. Just post and flex once the budget has already been created. So there are times in life where we have to protect our progress. And as you were talking, it made me think of this thought, that there are some people in life who get to a place often where they're not realizing that the uncertainty of what if it doesn't happen. I like to throw a coin and flip it and say, what if it does happen? What if you do start the business and it starts blowing up? What if you do write the book and everybody starts reading it? What if you do start the podcast and you get a bunch of people listening? I mean, that's what we did, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you think of uncertainty, you got to also think about the factor of the certainty of who you're going to become after that, the certainty of who you're going to become through the progress, the certainty of who you're going to come through the process. And there are some people, when you think of uncertainty, I suggest that really it's just false evidence appearing real.
Yes.
That keeps us stuck in the uncertainty.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about fear lately, so that's exactly what it is. Listen, I wrote that down. We need to coin it. PYP, protect your progress. PYP. Yeah, we need to put that on the wristband, on a t-shirt, protect your progress. So the second thing is funny you said about who you're going to become, and you haven't seen the thoughts I'm going through, because the next one is you have to be willing to be unrecognizable. And
slow down.
Familiarity is so infectious to us that I'm not willing to become unrecognizable to progress. So it's twofold. When I say you're going to become unrecognizable, the people that knew you before the progress are going to say things like, you're not like you used to be. You've changed. What happened to you? You don't roll with us no more, that kind of stuff. You have to be willing to be unrecognizable. Here's the other piece, though, and this is the hardest one. And today, I guess it's just a transparent day for me. What do you do when you're used to being the man in one area, and when you walk into the new area, nobody knows you? You're unrecognizable. That's why people like to be big fish in small ponds. Because when I'm in a small pond, everybody knows my name, everybody's speaking out on me. But what do I do when I go to a table that everybody has twice my income, twice my experience, twice my platform, twice my followers? Am I going to shrink down and say, no, I want to go back to where everybody knows me? Or am I willing to say, I'll sit at the table to be unrecognizable, because by the time I get up, you're going to know my name? And that's the thing that keeps us. Some people have an inferiority complex. Yeah. So because they're so used to being patted on the back, they refuse to walk into a room where they're unrecognizable.
Wow. I often think about times in my life where I've been scratched. You know, there's been a moment where I've got to a certain place where I felt like, man, this is awesome, especially in the education standpoint. You know, you get on these boards, you get in front of these different opportunities, but then you always realize that there's more ahead of you. So when you talk about the unrecognizable, again, I think it goes back to that process of the progress. So when you start understanding, okay, this is part of my process. Even though I'm unrecognizable in this season, who do I need to connect with to be recognizable in the next season? And even once I get to that recognizable point, there's going to be another season of unrecognizable. So the minute that you can adopt in your mindset and your framework that there's always going to be unrecognizable moments in your life, you just keep working towards what's going to help you become recognizable.
No, that's good. That's good. So you know, the price of uncertainty, the price of being unrecognizable, but then there's another price and reward. This last one is a reward and a price. You have to be unwavering. You have to be unwavering. When I talk about being unwavering, it is this idea that I'm not going to stop no matter what. I'm not going to let anything distract me. I'm not going to let anything, and that is a price, but it's also a reward. When you are an unwavering person, opinions don't bother you. When you're an unwavering person, the things that didn't happen to you, you always focus on what did happen. Wow. And you say to yourself, well, hey, you know what? It didn't go the way I thought, but these are the lessons I learned along the way. I'm unwavering. Yeah, that's good. I made my decision that I'm going to make this progress. I knew there would be bumps in the road. I didn't know what their names would be. I didn't know what times they would come in. But when I see the bump in the road, I'm like, okay, I knew this wasn't going to be easy, because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. That's good. So I got to be unwavering, and that is a price and a reward in it. And so to our listeners who are saying, well, how do I pay this price? You got to be unwavering. When you're unwavering, you don't mind being uncertain. When you're unwavering, you don't mind being unrecognizable. That's because good. You're like, but being unwavering is also a price too, because it's work. It's work to get up every day even though you won't feel like laying down. It's work to keep walking even though you feel like nobody's walking with you. It's work to keep investing in something even though you don't see the return in the time you thought you would see it. It's work. And so being unwavering is a price you pay, but being unwavering is also rewarding, because what ends up happening is, like you said, what if it does happen? What if what I'm looking for does actually come into my life? And so I just continue to be unwavering.
Hey, that's good, Zach. And I'm thinking about that one person who's sitting there listening to this, and they're asking the question. It's easy for me to be unwavering when people are cheering me on. What do I do when I get to a place where I have to be unwavering? I'm sitting there all by myself. How do I get that inside motivation, that intrinsic motivation to keep being unwavering in situations?
I think for me, it is remembering why you started.
Ooh.
It is remembering why you started.
That's good.
And if I remember why I started, that's number one. The second point is, I don't like end of the year celebrations.
Wow.
I like perpetual celebrations.
Wow.
I'm gonna celebrate me. I had something good happen to me this week. I've been celebrating myself all week.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's the other thing too. Throw your own party.
Woo!
Let's just take that turn just for a moment. I mean, it's a little bit off subject, but it is on subject. The way I become unwavering intrinsically is I throw my own party. The problem with us is that we've gotten to a point where somebody else has to celebrate us.
Wow.
So if Harry ain't clapping for me, then it didn't work. If my mama don't say she's proud of me, it ain't working. If my family don't appreciate me, it ain't working. And as we all want those things, I want my partner to clap for me. I want my wife to clap for me. I want my family to appreciate me. If they don't, I'm gonna celebrate me anyway. I'm throwing my own party. So I'm traveling and enjoying myself because I deserve it.
That's good.
I see this as an accomplishment.
Good.
You might not even see it. You might not even recognize how far I've come, but I know how far I've come. So I think when you prepare yourself to make progress, we often talk about having check-ins on progress. You know, we talk about that even in Build My Bridge. You know, what are you going to do to check in to see if you're coming?
That's good.
But I think we need to add something to that is, what are you going to do to celebrate along the way? What are you going to do to say, you know what? This is the milestone I want to get to, and when I get to this point, I'm going to stop and dance.
Ooh.
When I get to this point, I'm going to stop and take a trip. When I get to this point, I'm going to stop and buy myself something. Because what happens is, it's the law of attraction. I think people don't celebrate you because you don't celebrate you.
Good.
People don't clap for you because you don't clap for you.
Good.
And so you gotta have that intrinsic nature of saying, I'm gonna be unwavering because I know why I started.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna celebrate myself along the way because I know how far I've come. I might not be at the end of the road yet, but boy, I'm gonna praise in the middle because I'm glad I made it that far.
So you get to that point where you accomplish that thing that you wrote down, you get that small goal, that small win that builds the momentum. You go to the Dollar Tree yourself and you pick out your own balloons, you pick out your own plates, you pick out your own cake.
That's right.
That's what it takes to keep that unwavering going. I love that.
Yeah, because if nobody celebrates me, I gotta celebrate me.
That's good.
And I think
that's critical.
I was talking to some men about this last night, and so I'm glad you brought this up. This idea of what if I'm all by myself. I think we have to escape what I'm calling a kickstand mentality.
Wow.
A kickstand on a bicycle is the only thing that holds it up. And I want to warn one or two of our listeners that's listening to this, and you feel like you're falling. Maybe you've let somebody in your life be your kickstand for far too long. Maybe you've let their opinion of you, their thoughts of you, their presence be your kickstand.
That's powerful.
I learned this through divorce, just being very transparent.
Wow.
So for me, when you stand at the altar and you marry someone, you think that person is going to be everything you thought they would be, and they think you're going to be everything they thought you would be, and so you invest so heavily into that type of relationship. Yeah. And so what I realized is I had it all wrong. I don't think God ever wanted us to be to depend on anybody else as our kickstand.
That's awesome.
And I know you're married, Harry, so no shade, no shade to my wife now, my new wife, who is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Come on.
At the end of the day, she can't be my kickstand, and I can't be her kickstand.
Wow.
I got to be able to stand up even if she's gone, because nobody's promised you for a lifetime. We talked about grief before. I got to be able to stand up even if my best friend leaves me. I got to be able to stand up even if nobody appreciates me, because I can't let anything and anyone be my kickstand. I got to be able to stand up on my own too. And because of that, that's why we're often not unwavering, because we waver anytime that kickstand moves. We fall over, we fall apart because somebody or something that was holding us up. But the truth is, true relationship is when two people can hold themselves up and they can progress together. That's true relationship.
Man, that's powerful. That's powerful. I think that's a good note to end on right there.
All right, hey, well listen, the price of progress. It's okay to be uncertain.
Yeah.
It's okay to become unrecognizable, but all in all, you got to be unwavering. So.
Awesome, man. Join us on the next episode of the Build My Bridge podcast. Drop us a like, comment, subscribe, and share this with somebody that you know is on the journey of wanting to pay the price for progress. We'll catch y'all next episode.